I've always liked driving at night. There's something calming about the empty roads, the glow of the dashboard, and the hum of the engine beneath me. It used to clear my head. But now, even the thought of a night drive sends a chill down my spine. It happened last summer. I was driving cross-country from Portland to Denver to visit an old college buddy. I'd left late. Bad idea, I know. But I figured I could make up time and stop at a cheap motel once I got too tired. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere, just past Boise, I saw him. A hitchhiker. Mid-30s maybe. Tall, slim. He was wearing a dirty green army surplus jacket and jeans that looked soaked from the knees down. It had just rained. He stood by the shoulder with one thumb out and a duffel bag slung over his back. His face was half lit by the headlights, and I remember thinking he looked odd. Not dangerous necessarily, just strange. Too still. Like he'd been standing in the exact same position for hours. I should have kept driving. But I pulled over. I don't know why. I guess I felt sorry for him. Or maybe I just didn't want to be alone, and he didn't say much when he got in. Just nodded and said, "Thanks." His voice was low, gravelly, like he hadn't spoken in days. He smelled like wet leaves and something metallic. I told him I was headed east, and he nodded again. I asked him where he was going. "Wherever you're headed," he said. I laughed awkwardly. "Okay, man, guess you've got time on your hands." Silence. The next hour was quiet. Too quiet. Every time I glanced at him, he was staring straight ahead, hands on his lap, not moving, not even blinking, it seemed. No phone, no music preference, nothing. I tried making conversation, asked if he was in the military because of the jacket. He looked at me slowly and said, "Not anymore," then turned back to the windshield. Eventually, I gave up talking and focused on driving. We passed one of those rundown gas stations around 2 a.m. I asked if he needed anything. He said no, but I went in anyway. Just needed to breathe, away from. The cashier was this tired-looking girl with purple hair. As I paid for a soda, she glanced out at my car and asked, "That your friend?" "Not really," I said. "Just a hitchhiker." Her face went pale. "You picked him up?" she said, lowering her voice. "That guy's been around here for years. People say he walks the highways, gets picked up, and then disappears." I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. "Disappears?" "Yeah," she said. "People who pick him up, they vanish too. Cops think it's drugs or desert crazies, but my cousin swears she saw him on the news once. Like 3 different times. Same guy, same jacket." I looked back out the window. He was gone. My heart dropped. I ran outside. My car was still there, engine running. The passenger door was open, but no sign of him. Not in the lot, not behind the station. Nothing. I even checked the roof like an idiot. Empty. I drove off, heart pounding, windows down, scanning the ditches and road behind me. 5 minutes later, I heard breathing, coming from the back seat. I slammed the brakes and spun around. No one. The back seat was empty, but I heard it. I swear I heard slow, steady breathing. Too close, like someone was just behind my headrest. I sat there for a full minute, shaking, until I convinced myself I was just tired, sleep-deprived, maybe even hallucinating. I drove on, and then the radio started fuzzing. I hadn't even turned it on. It was static at first, then a voice, low, whispery, started saying something I couldn't quite make out. I turned the volume up. It was my name. Over and over. My name. In his voice. That's when I lost it. I pulled over, grabbed my bag, and ran into the woods. I don't know how long I stayed there, heart racing, trying not to scream. When I finally came back, the car was gone. Just gone. I flagged down a trucker at dawn and filed a report. The cops searched for 3 days. No sign of my car. No sign of the hitchhiker. Not even tire tracks. They looked at me like I was crazy. Maybe I was. But a week later, my car was found. Burnt out in New Mexico, hundreds of miles from where I last saw it. There were no fingerprints, nothing left of value. Just one thing in the back seat. A green army surplus jacket. And on the inside tag, written in faded black ink, "Wherever you're headed." I've always loved solo road trips. Just me, the open highway, and the hum of tires on asphalt. There's something meditative about it. Freedom at 70 miles per hour. I never thought that a late-night drive through rural Nevada would nearly kill me. This was back in October of last year. I was driving from Portland to Las Vegas to meet some friends for a weekend getaway. It was about 2 a.m., and I was somewhere between Ely and Pioche. Basically, the middle of nowhere. The highway was empty, endless, and straight as a ruler. The stars above looked fake, like some digital dome projection. No cell signal, no towns for miles, just desert, road, and silence. Then my headlights caught movement. A figure standing on the shoulder, thumb out. A hitchhiker. Now I know the rule. Never pick up hitchhikers at night. But there was something about the guy. Late 20s maybe. Backpack slung over one shoulder. He looked shaken, pale, like he'd been through something. Against better judgment, I pulled over. "Where are you headed?" I asked through the rolled-down window. "Anywhere but here," he said, his voice a whisper, almost drowned out by the wind. He got in, and the moment he did, the temperature dropped. I thought I was imagining it, but even the windshield started to fog a little. He didn't speak much, just sat stiffly, hands on his knees, eyes staring straight ahead. After about 10 minutes, I tried to make small talk. "Rough night?" He turned to me slowly, like it took effort. "They're still out there," he murmured. "Who?" He looked me dead in the eyes. "The ones in the hills. They come when you stop." I laughed nervously. "Like desert boogeymen?" He didn't smile. "I watched them drag a man out of his RV, rip the doors right off. No sound, no struggle. Like he just gave up." I was starting to regret stopping. "You, see a lot of things out here in the desert," I said, trying to lighten the mood. "I'm not crazy," he snapped, suddenly alert. "You don't get it. You will." I didn't respond, just kept driving, suddenly aware of how far we were from anything. The silence stretched out again. Then from the corner of my eye, I saw his head turn sharply to the rearview mirror. "They're following us." I glanced in the mirror. Nothing but dark road behind us. "You sure you're okay, man?" He didn't answer. Just pressed his hand to the glass and whispered, "Don't stop. No matter what you hear." I was officially freaked out. I considered pulling over and asking him to get out, but then I remembered his words. "They come when you stop." My knuckles tightened on the wheel. Then I heard it. A thump. From the roof. I froze, looked up. Nothing in sight, of course. Then came another, heavier this time. Thump. Drag. Thump. "Keep going," he hissed. "Don't look. Don't listen." "What the hell is on my car?" I shouted. He was trembling now, whispering something like a prayer, rocking back and forth. I floored it. 80. 90. The sound on the roof got louder. Something was crawling, dragging claws or limbs or whatever across the metal. And then, I swear to God, I saw a hand, pale, too long, with fingers like branches, slide across the windshield. It left a smear like frost. "Almost there," the hitchhiker said suddenly, eyes wide. "Just one more mile." I didn't ask what "there" meant. I just drove. Exactly 1 mile later, as if by some invisible border, the sound stopped. The weight lifted. Silence returned. I pulled over without thinking, gasping. The hitchhiker turned to me, a sad smile on his face. "They can't follow beyond the mile. You made it." I turned to him. What the hell was that? But he was already opening the door. "Don't ever stop at night again, not out here." And then he was gone, vanished into the desert like a mirage. I sat there, heart hammering. Then I got out, walked around the car. The roof was scratched, long, deep grooves like from talons, and smeared across the windshield was a handprint, but not human. 6 fingers, all curved unnaturally. I drove straight to Vegas without stopping. Didn't sleep that night. Didn't even tell my friends. Who would believe it? But now, every time I'm on a lonely stretch of road, I look to the hills, and I wonder, if I had stopped even 1 minute later, would they have gotten me too?
It was supposed to be a simple road trip. I'd just landed a new job across the country in Oregon and figured I'd make the most of the drive from Kansas. Stretch my legs, take in the scenery, maybe even camp a night or two. I packed my old Toyota Tacoma with the essentials: tent, food, tools, and an emergency battery pack. My girlfriend Cassie begged me to fly instead, said she had a bad feeling. I should have listened. It was the second night, somewhere in the middle of Idaho. The sun had set an hour earlier, and I'd lost cell reception on a long stretch of Highway 93. There wasn't another car in sight. I'd missed a campground I planned to stop at, so I pulled into a narrow dirt road that looked like it hadn't been used in years. It led me down a wooded path that eventually opened into a wide gravel clearing. Quiet, peaceful. I set up my tent, made a fire, ate some jerky, and lay back to stare at the stars. That's when I heard it, far off, maybe down the road I'd come from. A sharp, metallic clang, like something heavy had fallen. Then, silence again. I stayed up a while longer, listening. Nothing. Chalked it up to an animal, or an old sign falling. But just as I was zipping into my tent, I heard something else. A voice. Distant. Muffled. Help. It was faint, almost like the wind had carried it, but I swear it said help. I stood still, heart racing, eyes darting toward the road. It came again. Help. Please. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out of the tent, calling back. Hello? Are you hurt? Nothing. I walked to the edge of the clearing and pointed the beam down the road. Just darkness and trees. Help. My breath caught. That time it was closer. Not on the road anymore. Off to the left, somewhere in the woods. I should have left it. Called for help when I had a signal again. But I couldn't shake the thought of someone lying out there, broken or bleeding. I followed the sound. About 40 yards in, I found a shallow ditch, maybe 3 feet deep, filled with dead leaves and branches. Lying there, curled up, was a man. He was shirtless, pale, his skin stretched tight over his bones. His eyes were wide and glassy, like he hadn't slept in days. I stepped closer, and he flinched violently. Jesus, man, are you okay? I knelt beside him, and he whispered something so low I had to lean in. They come when it's dark. What? They only stop when you feed them. His voice cracked, raw from thirst or screaming. I couldn't tell which. I reached for my phone, but of course still no signal. I'll get you to my truck. It's not far. No, he said, grabbing my wrist with surprising strength. You can't leave now. You heard them too, didn't you? Before I could answer, a noise erupted behind me. Crackling leaves, like something heavy shifting through the underbrush. I froze. Slowly, I turned my flashlight toward the trees. Nothing. But the man in the ditch was breathing hard now, panic in his eyes. It's too late. A low creak echoed through the woods, like a door slowly opening. Then silence. And then click, click, click. It started soft, like claws tapping on bark, but it grew louder, closer, faster, something running. I turned back to the man, but he was gone. The ditch was empty. I sprinted. I don't remember getting back to the tent. I just remember slamming the truck door shut and locking it. I turned the key. Dead. Battery was fine that morning. I hadn't left the lights on. There was no reason it shouldn't start. Click, click, click. I couldn't tell how many were out there. I just know I saw eyes, not human, not animal, wide and glistening, reflecting my flashlight in unnatural angles. They circled the clearing like vultures, low to the ground, fast. But they never came close to the truck. like something kept them out. I stayed in that cab all night, clutching a tire iron and praying for daylight. When morning finally came, the truck started like nothing had happened. I drove until I hit a gas station with a payphone and called Cassie. When I told her what happened, she didn't say a word for a long time. Then she just whispered, "You saw him, didn't you?" I demanded to know what she meant. Turns out her cousin had gone missing 3 years earlier on a road trip to the West Coast, Idaho, same highway. His car was found parked on a logging road. Tent set up, no sign of a struggle. But they found a ditch nearby. Blood. Fingernail marks on the trees like he'd tried to climb out. I didn't go to Oregon. I flew back home and stayed with Cassie. For weeks I didn't sleep. Because every night, just as I'd start to drift off, I'd hear them click, click, click. They followed me, and they're always waiting for the dark.